Boom. Okay. This is Blackboard. This is my side of Blackboard, but this is what you're pretty much going to see. So learning objectives, we looked at this already, give this a look over to see what this is. One of the things I will tell you, going through each one of these particular elements will get you to a complete. Somebody asked the question, and I know I posted it up in the groups, in the announcements, but I'm just going to say this. You'll have little icons next to each one of these showing you the level of completeness for each thing. If you clicked on the item to look at it or download it or what have you, when you come back, it may not show that it was complete. Like when you do the assessments, that'll be complete once it scores it. But the other things may not show up as being complete, like you finished with that particular learning module. So just go back and click on the little icon that shows up next to each one. Mine's got these little dots right here, but yours would show up like a circle, like it'll be like a half-filled circle once you've clicked on the thing. If you haven't clicked on it, it'll be just an empty circle. Once you click on it, then you get the half-filled circle. And then when you click on that half-filled circle, it'll be checked to say that you did that thing. So as soon as you click on like if I click on class files here, it'll give me the link to show me in Dropbox the list of the different class files, the stuff that I want you to just, download to, understand what we're going to be working on. Some of these things are like files like test pick that we're going to be opening up in class. Other things are going to be like understanding color management, or this color theory presentation, different presentation than what I was just showing you. And then the actual color theory presentation itself that I just went through, and some other things. But once you download this, there'll be the button over here to download. Looks like an arrow pointing to a line. Clicking on that would download this entire zip file that you'll be able to unzip and work with, be able to work with and step through with me in what I'm going to be showing you. But once you do that and go back to Blackboard, now you're going to see a little half-filled circle next to this class files link. If you click on that half-filled circle, it'll check, meaning that you completed that step. All right, and then you can move on through the rest of them. So just something to keep in mind. Just want to bring it up and put it into the video so that way you know. All right, so class files, like I just said, is that Dropbox link that will take you to the class files.zip file. You would click on to the download to download it. You download the zip file and be able to unzip it. It'll have all the files we're going to be working on in Photoshop that I'm going to be showing you in a few minutes. Color theory class links. I want to click onto that to show you what this is, because that's the next thing I want to show you. These links here that go to different websites to show you stuff and give you some further knowledge in color theory that you could go through and learn about. So first one is for colormatters.com. That is this web address right here. So colormatters.com is a full color theory class and color psychology class built as different articles that you can go through at your leisure time. So whenever you feel like going through this, go through this website and kind of look at everything. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to start at color and design. You're going to start here at this location, and you're going to start at basic color theory, that link. Each one of these links that's under here and each one of these different sections are different articles that cover different things. So you'll come back to this throughout your entire career, as a graphic designer, because you're not going to remember all this stuff. So just you'll be coming back to here to remind yourself. But this is the beginning. It talks about the color wheel, and it talks about the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, giving you explanation and the color harmonies and that sort of thing. What I just talked about a little bit ago is just showing it to you, as kind of a thing. So your color wheels, you've got a bunch of different types, of color wheels that are out there. Some of them are going to be real basic and simple like this. Some of them will actually separate out and show you all 16 million color combinations that are available. But a lot of times those different ones, you don't have to get that deep down that rabbit hole. Real simple, real basic. It'll show you all the colors by their values, so you'll have the pure color, the pure hue up at the top. And then as it goes down, it's just a different value going into lighter and lighter versions of that color. Terminology. Lighter versions of the color is called a tint. Darker versions of the color is called a shade. So in this case, it's showing me the different tints of the hues. So the hues are each individual color, and it's showing me the different tint values, the lighter values, the tints of that color as it goes down. And then another type of color wheel will show you the hue value. So the center circle will be black, and it's going to show you the different shades, going down to the different shades of that same hue. So different things that'll work out. But you start here, and then you can go down the rabbit hole to all the other different things that are in here. And there's a lot that you can go. There's even a whole online course that you could take. This costs money, though, but you could take it, learn at your own pace, and learn color theory, as a full-on class online, through this particular service that sponsors this website. And there's a lot here. There is a lot here. Other areas, just to let you know what you got up here. Color symbolism is talking about like the meanings of different colors. Like, what do they mean when you're using this color? What is the influence of it, and how it matters, how it means, and that sort of thing, based on culture, based on history, of it being created, and that sort of thing. The color and design section is, again, just kind of the base color theory stuff to go through. I would spend a lot of time going through here and kind of learning for all of these particular links and things that are here first. I would go to this first before I start branching off to the other elements. Color and marketing. This goes into the branding, the use of color in certain types of industries, the use of color in certain types of countries, and how that works on a global scale versus a local scale of things. Color in the body. How does color affect a person? Same thing with color and vision. This is how your eye is constructed, how your brain is constructed to perceive and understand colors. It's, again, like I said, the rabbit hole goes very deep. The science of color. How are colors made? Like ink pigments. Like, how did they make red? How did they make indigo? How do they make, these particular colors that you have as ink and pigments? And then how color, scientifically aspects. And there's a lot of redundancy with a lot of these things, meaning there's some of these that will talk about the same things, in other ways, talking about the same deal with color. But there's a lot here. There's so much in here, different color resources that are out there that you can go and take a look at. I don't know what this fun thing, that's a new one. Oh, color matters for kids, trying to teach children, fun color facts. The color police, that should be interesting. Different things dealing with color that, and this kind of covers the whole spectrum, the whole gamut. But there's other things that are out there. Like there's this thing called the color game. That's another one of the links that are over here that I got. The color game is a way to calibrate your screen and color, and then like learn how color blindness works, by going through a particular game system. This is actually pretty unique situation that they have that you can run through. Like if I go to this calibrate, adjust your brightness and contrast if you can, where you can see the differences between these colors and that sort of thing. That's one of the things that you can do to get started with this. And it's kind of a fun little game to get started and kind of play with, where you can go and pick this color. So where is that color here? Yeah, it's over here somewhere, and you got a little timer that lets you time through and kind of see. Well, actually, no, the color is actually what's counting down. I forgot. Because see, I forgot to play, how I play this myself. So this is blue, and it's gonna kind of grade you. Like this is supposed to be the red. It's a little, and you go and you step through, as you see down there at the bottom, different things there. So this color game is actually pretty cool. Next is the color meanings and symbolism. Is that this one? Oh yeah, that's not. I picked up the wrong. This is website called Art Therapy. This is a good website to kind of look at. It's just a bunch of blogs and like a bunch of different blog articles about different things dealing with the artistic world. Take some time and take a look around and stuff and see what's there. But under here, The color meanings and symbolism, again, color matters will have a lot, but it's always good to have more than one resource talking about the same things. So this way you can see similar ideas, similar thought process, but also different thought processes and see how somebody else thinks about it. And again, it's never saying that someone is wrong. It's just they may have a different way of looking at it or a different way of explaining it that may make more sense to you than somebody else. So always take a look at that whenever you get a chance. And this, goes into a lot of the different colors and their meanings, and pretty deep, rabbit hole to jump into. This is another link that'll be there for hexadecimal colors. Now, hexadecimal colors are 6 alphanumeric characters that represent the color to the computer. So your computer systems understand hexadecimal colors. So every color in RGB, there's a hex number for it. Every color in CMYK, there's a hex number for it. So if you need to communicate this color to somebody, sometimes the best way to communicate the color is through the hex number now, through the hex color. So even though they're a print designer and you're doing a print job, you could talk to them, okay, here's what the hex number is for this color. You should be able to convert that hex number to CMYK, no problem. So this is kind of explaining how the hex number is divided out. First 2 digits represent red, second 2 represent green, third represent blue, third 2 represent blue. It's always the same way. It's going to be preceded by a pound sign there. That's always how the hex number is going to be shown to you. And you just put that in there and that gives you the numbers. And that gives you that color. And then there's some standard colors. There's 216 web safe colors, meaning no matter what electronic device that you have, those particular hex number values are always going to show up to that same color. If you're a code writer, you're writing code, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, all the rest of them, you're going to be writing the code using the hex number code as the color description. All right. And there's multiple ways of putting in that hex number, depending on, it's little shortcuts and everything. I don't really attribute to the hex shortcuts, but they are there for those who are code writers. You need to be able to, write as less as possible, type as less as possible. So it does help. But yeah, there's different ways to be able to create that. And that's what this is indicating to you with this little link. Smashing Magazine is another good website to kind of get a hold of and kind of look at every once in a while. Articles covering all kinds of things within design, especially digital design, digital output like website building and stuff like that, and application building. A lot of articles, a lot of information covering that. So that's a good website, smashingmagazine.com. And this is talking about color theory for designers. Oh, this is the meaning of color. This is part 1. There's a part 2 and a part 3 to this, and they're all linked to each other, where it goes into color theory again, kind of explaining. So do I have that linked up there? No, I do not. So let me do this. I want to take this and, well, I'll just remember to do it. I'll add it to this document here. So that way you have it. Can I do it now? Let's find out if I can do this live. Smashing Magazine color Theory, color theory, and I spelled magazine wrong, so spell it correctly. Make a header. Highlights. Let's create a link for it. Insert. There you go. All right. So now you will have it when you download these things. All right. So that will be there as well. All righty. Cool. All right. Let's move forward. Let's talk about the ways of creating color. So this is using Adobe Color. So this is the website for Adobe Color. So the web address is color.adobe.com. Color.adobe.com. You will come to this website here. The way this works, if you have your Adobe ID, which everybody should have at this particular point. If you don't have it, you need to be getting it. Now, you can get the free version of the Adobe ID, but you're going to need, Photoshop and all that. So you got to pay for your Creative Cloud account. You should be paying for that thing. Paying by month, monthly at a time, or paying out for the whole year. It's only like $230 something to pay out for the whole year. Get that money together and spend that money. Get that, because you're going to need it. Now, what you're going to have here, you're going to start off in this section called Create. You're going to have this color wheel here, where you will be able to take these little circles and move them around to get, the circles to move to different locations of color. You're going to start off, if you scroll a little bit further down, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colors total that you can create for a project. Quite honestly, it should just break down to just 5 colors, but it's going to give you that option to make 10 of them. You can hit this little plus sign next to the colors to add a color in, or click on the little trash can that shows up on top to delete that color. Keep that in mind, because you're going to see something that's related to that a little bit later. When it comes to the colors, the one in the middle with the little triangle on it, that is your base color. This is the color you start with. Okay. Now, what you can do with that base color and all the colors is you can mix and create your own color. Instead of using the little circles up at the top on that color wheel, for me, it's easier to click on this little button right here that looks like the little 3 lines with the little dots on them. You click onto that, it opens up underneath each one of the colors a little sliders, RGB sliders, to be able to create the red, the green, and the blue color values respectively. Let's check something, because I want to see if nope, they still didn't do it. Because they got 4 sliders here, because they used to give you the ability to do CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black values, by either typing in the numbers or just moving the sliders to the number you want. But they got rid of the CMYK online. I don't know why, they just did. So this last slider here is a brightness level. One thing that you should notice, that you can move these 3 little sliders to move and get a different color for whatever color that you're mixing it for. Mine doing the base color right now. And then if you move the last bottom slider, it's moving all 3 of these other sliders around and changing the numbers around to give you a lighter or darker version of that same color. So essentially, you're changing the color values still, and it's a thing that throws things way off. Here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Because you're only dealing with RGB right now here in this interface, only deal with the first 3 sliders. Forget this last row of sliders here. Just forget that last one. It doesn't exist in your world. You're just dealing with the first 3. If you get from a client, from your boss or anybody like that, and they give you the numbers and they say, hey, I want you to create this color, get the actual numbers, get the actual RGB number, write it down, have them sign off on it that that's the accurate color. That's the actual color it needs to be. Be a jerk about it at first, until you can build up the culture that, hey, these colors need to be described in RGB value, not just puce. What the hell is puce? What color is that? Or orange or whatever. Always get the accurate numbers. That way you can just type in the number. So if someone was giving me the numbers, and they're telling me, well, it's 28, 35, and 22. All right. Red is 38. I've got that established. Blue is 25, or green is 25. That's the next one. So green is 25 and blue is 22. So I can just type those in respectively and I will get that particular color. It's a very dark, almost black, because there's hardly any of these colors being used. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. The 25 is supposed to be 215. So green is 215. Yeah, I told you the 25 is 215. So green is 215. Understand about being an ass? So you want to make sure that you're specific, and then have them sign off, date it if you need to on what you read off or whatever. Because if they get the colors wrong, if they tell you the colors, the wrong colors, that means you get the colors wrong. That means now it's your fault because you're the one making the design. And it's not your fault, it's somebody else's fault, but they're going to lie. Oh, that's not what I told them. I told them it was 215. No, you told me 25. No, I didn't. I told you 215. Okay, you pull out the paper. Remember this piece of paper that I had you sign? Yeah, see, it says right there 25. See, and you signed and dated it, which means you're the one that told me this. Yeah, yeah. See, you got it wrong. You get the idea. I hope you do by this time. All right. Any case, you put in the numbers, you get the accurate color. Now that you got that color, the hex number is right there for the color there. Also, whatever color that you picked, see that circle corresponds with it. See the one that's got the little tiny, it's hard to see, little tiny triangle on it there. That's this base color here. Now, here comes the next part. Once you get the base color done and you got that color accurately established, if you want harmonious colors with this green, for instance, you can come right up here to the top and over here to the left where it says color harmonies. You can hit that drop down, and here are your different color harmonies. You got analogous, monochromatic, triadic, complementary, split complementary, square compound, and shades. You really don't even need to know the definitions, but if you want to know the definitions, that's where Color Matters, that colormatters.com website comes in. It'll explain that in one of those articles. But I can get analogous colors, colors that are right next to it in the colors in the color wheel, divided out by a certain degree amount. Usually I think it's 10 degrees, 10-degree difference. Monochromatic, same color, but just a different value. So it goes a darker value. Same color at darker value. So it goes down by a certain degree amount towards the center, which gives you to the darker colors. You got your triadic colors, 30 degrees. I think it's a 30 degree or 35 degrees, something like that. Difference there. So it goes around and just keeps going like 30 degrees over and probably 10, 15, 20, 25 degrees down, for however many colors. So if I went to all 10 colors, I would see it spiral down, to all the different triadic values. You got your complementary colors, which are direct opposite value colors, and I think a 10% step down going into a darker value. And then you got split complementary, so it's split, so it's the opposite. So first they go to the opposite color, and then they split off by a certain degree amount to give you those complementary colors. Then you have square, which if you think of a direct line square directly across, so you get the opposite color, then a 90 degree, 45, I would say 45 degree instead of 90, but 90 degree from the original color, spaced out and down. And then you got compound, which I kind of dig because compound colors, kind of very big and divergent colors that work well with each other. And then finally you get shades, which are just same tone value, just at different shades. So different darker values. It's a little different than monochromatic. If you go back and compare monochromatic to shades, you're going to see a difference if you go back and forth between those two drop downs. But some people equate monochromatic to shades, because it kind of looks enough of it as a difference. Now, why am I going through all this? Well, because you have these just automatically ready to go. You can go to custom here, and you can move these different circles around to wherever you want them to go and get your own five color scheme set up for your own colors. They may not work with each other. They may not be, complementary enough to each other, but they're the colors that you want them to be. One little option as a freelancer, I've done this a bunch of times. I send my client to this website and I have them switch this over here to custom. So that way they can move these little circles around without worrying about the numbers and get these 5 colors. And then I have them do a screen capture, some kind of way of this, or at least write the numbers down, the hex numbers down right there. And then I can put it in on my own computer, and then I can look at those colors and be like, okay, these will work, or these will not work together, or these will or will not work for your logo, or whatever we're trying to do for the project. And it kind of helps in the education of things. So this is a good thing that you could do. Now, while I'm here, let's talk about a couple of other things that you can do here with this. If you have your Creative Cloud account loaded, and right over here where my little smiling face is where I can load my Creative Cloud account. If you load that in, you will be able to save this color setup as a theme. Saving it as a theme will put it into what is called the library. That library can now be shared with other programs on your account. So that way, in your different programs, you can pull up the libraries panel and you'll be able to pull open those colors and pull them down to use for your different projects within your different programs. So it's kind of created one time, never have to create it again because it's always there. Another thing you can do with the library items is that you could share those library items with other people. So you could send that library item of colors to another person by their email address. If they have Creative Cloud, they can click on that link that you send them. It'll open up and then they can save the library and they can save that library item into their library. They're not connected to each other. So if you decide to change the colors, it won't alert them any kind of way. But, you know, there's a collaboration to that level to that. So you can have that. You can even publish the theme. So publicly, other people will be able to see your themes when they go here to explore up here at the top. They type in your name, they type in the name of the theme and what you named it. They type in just a color that happens to be one of the colors in your theme, and your theme will pop up. So like, for instance, I can ask a client, hey, what's your favorite color? And they tell me Kelly green. So I'll do Kelly green. And once I type that in, I'll get every version of Kelly green here under Explore. Some of it is pulled off of pictures, you know, that they've loaded up. Some of them are just have Kelly green as one of the colors in the color scheme that they can now pull up, click on, see what that color is, write down the hex number for it as they feel they need to, for whatever reason they need to use those colors in their color scheme. For instance, I'll use this one because I kind of dig these colors, especially this kind of magenta-ish purple color along with these greens. Here's a couple of things that you can do, which is, I think is kind of cool. You click on one of these colors here, you could share these colors because you can download it as this ASE file. What is that? That stands for Adobe Swatch Exchange. It's a file that you can download, and then you can open that file up in Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign and have those colors already made, ready to go. You can reverse that. You can make colors within your Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, or what have you, and then you could save that palette of colors as an ASE file to share with other people. You can download the files. You can download these colors as a JPEG file, so it could be a picture that you could send to somebody that'll be this exact look here. It'll be like a screen capture of this, where underneath you'll have the hex number for those colors. And sometimes they'll put the RGB or CMYK there, but most of the time it's just going to be the hex number of those colors so they can have it. Anybody that's a programmer, you have your LESS, your CSS, your SAS, your XML file types that you can download. And the colors will be sitting there ready for you to use. Like, for instance, if I copy a CSS, and I don't have the program open, give me a second. I just want to show you what this is going to look like for anybody that is a coder. And if you're not a coder and you want to learn how to write HTML code, we do have a class for HTML and CSS. So that way you could take something like this code here, which is the CSS code that describes the color in all the different ways, these colors that I got here. You can save that and send that to a programmer, you know, or if you're the programmer, now you have those colors that you can use. Makes it kind of a neat, cool assignment. So you have that here available to use right within this Adobe Color. So this way you don't have to go through making this color one at a time inside of your different programs. You just have those colors already ready to go, you know, done, finished, ain't got nothing to worry about. Trends. This is another one that's kind of cool, where you have different trends in different industries for colors. So what you can do is go through here, find an industry that you're interested in, click on that view more, and then here's your color schemes for those particular pictures coming from there. And you have a bunch of them. They got a whole library of pictures that they pull color schemes off of. And you can add them to your own library, or, download them as an ASE file yourself. Then you have your libraries, my libraries that I have, different color schemes that I've built, for different projects and stuff like that available. Now, let me go back here to create real quick. Those colors that I came up with, the 5 colors that I came up with on the custom. Another thing that you have here that is very, very, very important when it comes to what we're working on is this accessibility tool here. When I click on accessibility tools, they have a way to test a color against another color to kind of see if the color stands out well enough to use for your project. But that's cool. But the other thing that's really important, if I hit this drop down here where it says contrast checker, is this color blind safe. This is more important because this will have different levels of color blindness listed out. And they got the three main ones. And you can check if your color works against different levels of color blindness, whether you see a separation. A lot of times, if 2 of the colors that you're using look very much alike, like these 2 colors, this kind of oranges and this kind of almost pinkish color, and a couple of these, some of these colors look exactly alike, like this green and this kind of almost gold, pale gold color look exactly alike in this version, these 2 versions of color blindness. And in the other ones, this kind of orange almost turns into a pink red, which almost looks like this pink over here. So you may want to change the colors up so that way they're not, you got a bigger distinction and difference. So that in digital files, especially digital files, if you're working in the education system, the government, or you're a government contractor, you got to make sure that your electronic paperwork, your electronic designs, any of your digital designs are compatible with people of different disability levels, color blindness being one of them. So this is a way to kind of check for that. It's kind of important. So you want to have something there built in, which they have here, to kind of check for those things, to kind of compensate as much as you can. And it's as much as you can. Sometimes you can't get exact and follow everything because it takes away a lot of color choices, takes away a lot of font choices, takes away a lot of design choices that you would make because it's just not compatible. So you try to get as best as you can with it and not exact. All right. Now, another color maker that's similar to Adobe Color is this one. It's called Coolors, COOLORS.co. 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 This website is not branded by Adobe. They're not affiliated with Adobe at all, but they can create colors in a very cool way with their generator, and I really like how they do things. You can sign up for free, create a profile for free with them, so that way you could save a couple of the color profiles that you come up with through here. If you go pro, it doesn't cost that much. It's just giving you more space, so you don't really have to do the pro version if you don't want to. You can keep it with the free, and the sign up is easy. If you have a Gmail account, you can use your Google account to sign up, or your Facebook, I think, as well, to sign up, and and that sort of thing if you want to. If you don't want to sign up, you don't have to. You just won't be able to save the color profiles to come back to later. You'll just have to make them each and every time. But when you start the generator, here's the cool part, at least the thing that I think is cool. It will start off giving you 5 colors. And with those 5 colors that you're going to start off with, you can hit the space bar on your keyboard, and those 5 colors will constantly change every time you hit the space bar. Now, what happens as you hit the space bar, the colors change. If you like a particular color, like I say, I like this orange, I can hit this little padlock on here, and that locks that color in. And then I can keep hitting that space bar and get different colors based on now color harmonies to the one that I locked. And then I can keep doing that and keep hitting the space bar to get different colors until I come up with 5 colors that I want to keep using, and I just lock them all down. All right. If I want to add colors, I can add colors in. The free version, you're limited to how many colors you add. The pro version, you can add more. If you don't sign up, I think there's a limit to that as well, but I don't really remember what the limit actually is. The idea of color harmonies, and let me unlock a couple of these. If you come up here to the top, there's a bunch of little buttons here, and I think under the 3 dots, can't remember anymore. Did they lock it under the pro version now? You may have locked it under the pro versions. Yeah, never mind. I was going to show you that you could switch up to the different color harmonies. Nope, you can't do it anymore. Because you used to be able to, I think it was under this button right here with the little grid. You can click onto that and you could get different color harmonies listed out. I don't see it anymore. I think they locked it under the pro version now where you can't get to it anymore. It's fine. It's just one of those things that was kind of a cool thing to be able to do to separate things out. Now, the little view button here, this is important. If you need to save the color in different versions, so you have your hex number, which is already showing to you on each color, but you also have the HSB value, HSL, RGB, CMYK, lab, and some other versions if you go to the pro version. You just click on the particular square, which these little squares are the colors that you picked already. And so you can go here and actually see what those color numbers are. The hex number, like I mentioned before, is the easiest color to come up with. And then after that, you have these other colors. Hold on 1 second, folks. Give me 1 second. I got to check on something. Hold on. Yeah, I'm recording class right now, so. Okay. All right, I'm back in. All right, so you have these different colors that you could get. You have the hex number, and like I mentioned before, the hexadecimal number is going to be by far the easiest number to communicate to other people. So just keep that in mind. Now, saving the colors like we did at Adobe Color. If I go here to the export button, this allows me the same options that I had over there at Adobe Color. I could save the code. I got the ASE numbers, the ASE color profile that I can save. Same things as I had before. If I go to, I got PDF where I can make a PDF, or image where I can make a JPEG file, CSS where I can pull up the CSS code like I had before, copy paste that, so you have the similar options that you had with Adobe Color. You just got a different little fun way with the space bar to be able to generate the colors as you need to. Another thing that's actually kind of neat is this new thing they put in here, this little button here that has like the circle, square, and triangle up there at the top. If you click onto that, it takes your colors, brings it to a different website that's called a palette visualizer. And it shows you the colors that you just came up with against different design elements, which I think this is pretty neat because it shows you the colors being used. So that way you could tell if the colors are the right choices if you made the right choices with the colors. Just showing them in different combinations. There's buttons here at the bottom that lets you kind of shuffle the colors around or remake and readjust the colors that you created, or have it generate new, palettes, if you hit the space bar. And then of course you still got the export button to still even export everything out if you need to, export the palette out in those different variations if you made up something new. I think that's a neat little feature that they put in here for something that's free for you to use. They do have another thing in here, and I think it's right where it says hide right here. That's not popping in, where you can, if you go with the pro version, you get it with what you pay for, but you can also, it's like it's little add-ons that you can get for Photoshop and Illustrator that can create another palette that'll put this inside of that program to create. I really don't dig that. It's kind of neat that it's there, but not necessary, because you can just come to the website and build, and that makes it just as easy to be done. So that's that. So those are all the different things that are online that deal with color theory or creating colors for your color schemes that I want to show you there. All right.